Beef season 1 makes me want to scream in the void. Season 2, welcome back to Mo Theory, my media analysis platform. Today, I'm going to be discussing Beef, but season 2, because season 2 came out very recently. I watched it in, I would say, a week. And first, I'll start off with just a very brief comparison between season 1 and season 2. And I'll say this, that high that you get from season 1 may not always come back around in season 2. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that it's not a masterpiece in its own way. Beef season 1, starring Stephen Yun, I hope I'm saying that correctly, was existentially heavy and extremely relatable. For me personally, I think Stephen Yun did such an incredible job in playing Danny. Both Danny and Amy were very interesting and complex characters that a lot of people could relate to. And I think that's why season 1 was such a success. It was just quite a refreshing watch the first time. Refreshing but heavy. Now, with season 2, I wasn't the biggest fan of them completely ditching previous cast and storyline. I wasn't, because I had emotionally invested myself in those characters. Even though some could argue, what more is there to say, because, he ended up in hospital and that was that. But I was emotionally invested in the season 1 characters. My mindset towards watching season 2, I dragged my feet a bit, I won't lie. Beef season 1 makes me want to scream in the void. Season 2, I might talk to the void. I don't know, but I may not yell. And those of you on my wavelength will understand what I just said. And if you don't worry about it. I honestly don't think season 2 was bad at all. I just think my expectations were so high and there was a level of attachment to season 1 that it was never going to have that same effect. Critics are saying that season 2 was a ripoff of Mike White's The White Lotus. And if you've watched my videos before, you will know I'm obsessed with The White Lotus. And whilst I understand the comparison, I kind of think that's a bit unfair though. I think to make a claim like that, we would have to see a repeated use of the country / leisure high end club storyline, pipeline kind of thing. If that makes sense. Because what we're going to say, like, so every single show that has well-known spa or country club or leisure center or whatever for rich people is just a ripoff of The White Lotus. I get it though, because yes, the country club is visited by wealthy people that have a lot of power and there are a lot of scandals. I get it, but come on, let's just be a bit fair. But anyway, today's video is not so much a review, but me focusing on 2 main themes that I really enjoyed being portrayed on my screen. 2 themes are capitalism and then cycles. I'm going to start with capitalism, which is quite obvious if you've watched season 2. So obviously if you've watched it, you'll know Ashley and Austin tried to blackmail Josh and Lindsay into giving Ashley a promotion so that she could have access to healthcare. And they did this by obtaining a video of them having a really intense fight that made Josh look so terrible. People are really in situations like this. And it made me sympathize with Ashley just a tad bit. Because imagine finding out you have such a dire issue with your ovaries and you just have no healthcare insurance. How far can the lack of basic necessities for people push them into doing bad things? Ashley eventually, as the story goes on, becomes what is destroying her in the first place. And that's often a cycle in capitalism. We don't have the necessities. We climb as far as we can to get the necessities, whether that's through a position, a job, whatever. You then slowly morph into the very thing that you hate. There's a really important scene where Austin, they're trying to figure out how they should go about this blackmailing. And Austin says, the system is designed to make you despair. The disparity is systemic. And he's not wrong. And so how far can the system push you into doing terrible things? Not because you're a terrible person, but because you look to your left and you look to your right and you truly have no other choice. So what Ashley did was wrong, because you shouldn't blackmail anyone, but there's a bigger issue going on here. Why can't she afford to get help? Like, I love that part because it's so relatable. Because Austin then goes to quote like the 16 piece at KFC being 52.99. I don't know about y'all, but in the UK, there's like the whole cost of living, and it's so crazy the way you can see in real time prices going up daily, weekly, hourly. It's insane. Off the topic of capitalism, I must say, just moving on slightly, it seems like the club in itself is a microcosm for corporate America, or just the Western corporate world, if we like. On the outside, you have these very polished, put together, rich people that are doing terrible things. By the way, this is not me saying like every single rich or wealthy person is like just a terrible person. But, if you have eyes, you'll know that very wealthy people do very terrible things. And we see that in the way the chairwoman was so comfortable with throwing Josh under the bus as a manager to cover up her own stuff. Which leads me to my next point, in that in a capitalist society, no one is safe also. Josh is extremely insecure and morally conflicted, but doesn't obviously present that to people he comes across, right? He sucks up to the rich people. He's given a large majority of his life to this club. It's almost delusional how he thinks that he's not disposable, but he very much is, as we see the way the season ends. He ends up doing that time. So the second theme I'm touching on are cycles. Studio A24 like a good generational cycle curse type of thing. I don't know. I get that a lot from a lot of their movies and their TV shows. Ashley and Austin becoming Josh and Lindsay and how miserable they were was predictable. I saw that coming from the get go. It's like exploring themes of like generational conflict, and how if you don't take the time to open your eyes sometimes and take what you can from the previous generation, you will suffer their downfalls. As you know, even though Austin breaks up with Ashley, fast forward 8 years later, and they are still together. And that was extremely hard to watch because we know that Austin is not supposed to be with this individual. And he has that moment in the car where she says something like, "Oh, I think something like, can you feed him or put him to bed tonight because I have so much work to do." And Austin is just in that car, like, what the heck did I do? How did I end up here 8 years later? It hurt to watch, especially when you're young. Sometimes stand your ground and listen to your gut. It's obvious that they're just going to repeat that cycle. Literally, Ashley becomes the park manager, just like Josh did. I don't actually know what Austin became, but they also had a child. And we all know, well, I don't have children, but when you have a child, that also has effects on your relationship. He's probably feeling stuck now because it's eluded that they have the same marital tension that Josh and Lindsay once had. And it's frustrating to watch because we know they could have escaped that. Again, that theme of cycles was very interesting to see. And I would say that was probably the most hard hitting part for me, was seeing Austin have that moment in the car where he was just like, what have I done? Yeah, this video was more focused on those just two themes in the series. Honestly, I will say I did overall enjoy season one much more than season two, but I still think season two is very important. It's a very important watch. I don't think it's a bad watch at all. I think I'm just comparing it to season one because I love season one so much. Comment what you think below. Feel free to subscribe, and I shall see you guys next time.